Nate or with PD? Nate's bigger than me.
Nate is, but I think Leslie was waiting on.
You wanna wait on Connor?
Yeah.
See if he
I
wants.
don't know. He said-
All right, that's fine, we can wait. I need to read it.
Does anybody else need a ruler? Would that be helpful?
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just the lay up there.
Does anybody else need a ruler?
He just passed the marker, so if you want to start the screen.
Okay.
Anything. Since you have it.
So let's do water, since that's the first one named.
So for those of you that don't know what these documents are or what the numbers mean, so for the accounts, the ones that start with a 1, that's general, the general fund. 2 is water. So page 3 is 2, and that starts with water.
So what you're saying,
Yeah, we start with
the 210, 2/10 slash, and then the account number. Yeah. So, this one, sorry. This is incoming,
Okay.
this is outright, so we're in water.
And the salary is not down.
Yeah, see it?
And then there's three pages. One, so this is the proposed that everybody had on top, and then this is projected revenue on the other page, and then the portrait is expenses from the previous 2 years, how we ended the years. So you can see how we came out those 2 years. So if you want to flip to page 2 on that, or actually page 3, it's the bottom of 2 and 3. That'll tell you where we ended the last 2 years for water. So however you want to try to follow along. There's way too much stuff to put on a spreadsheet. It's way too much. So if you want to kind of try to do that.
We provide the previous 2 years just so you can get an idea of how it's going up and down.
So going across the top, net budget is what we, starting October 1st, that's what we set for the year. And then MTD is month-to-date balance, so that's what we spent in May. YTD is year-to-date balance, so that's what we spent as of today for the whole entire year. And then the percent expended since October 1st. And then whether we're over or under the budget that we had net budgeted since October 1st. So that's so far, and then the predicted, proposed, and difference are columns that I've added, and I went over each of the supervisors to see what we thought we needed to do to amend those few columns. The difference in red would be a savings, which is a little contradictory. In the over-under budget column, if it's red, that means that they're over budget right now. In the difference column, if it's red, that means that they're saving money. So that's just how the spreadsheet is doing. So that's a little bit hard to understand.
In the difference column, red is good.
Red is good in the difference column. In the over column, it's
Not good.
it's not great, but that happens. That's why we amend the budget.
Yes.
So just since we have some new people, I wanted to
Oh, no.
kind of tell what's going on.
That making sense.
Okay. I really didn't do much of anything with salaries. We're tracking pretty good as far as that goes, so I didn't make any kind of suggested amendments there. The group insurance, we did have a savings there, so I cut that back a little bit.
And did you have anybody that wanted the dependent insurance that would come out of water,
No.
sewer?
No. They did mention that 50% was nice and they really appreciated that, but that wasn't,
It's still
it just wasn't a good enough savings to have them take the insurance, so
insurance.
much appreciated, but not able to
I know.
make that work.
I'd love to be able to do better on that.
Yeah, it's a start, so.
Yes.
On the auto repair and maintenance, we were over, and so we proposed to basically give them 865 to get through the year, so that would be a difference of 2,000. So that would just give them 865 to get through
Okay.
the next, essentially, 5 months here.
We have a couple more things in maintenance. A lot of that is the back truck, water pump, but I think we have 2 more things in maintenance.
Which should be good for this year. Yeah, your dig rights probably did go up, didn't they?
Actually, that's a savings.
Oh, it is.
The 300 is gonna be a savings for us.
Do you think, I know, I don't got backwards on it. Do you think you'll need, how many more do you think you're gonna have to have for like the new, because they do a dig right for the new ones, right, before they start building?
Right, we get 10 big reps.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's when they go out and mark where the water and sewer and stuff's at.
They bill us quarterly and we've only used 18%,
So
so.
if you're late on the big reps as well, you will get fined for it.
Okay.
So I don't remember how many been late.
Probably not.
Don't know.
Okay.
So that $300 for dig right or Missouri one call is a savings. If anyone thinks, Nate thought that we'd be okay with 192. So we are trying to save that. The office supplies, that's because we ordered the actual water bills that go out to the customers, which was
the paper bills.
They were ordered 3 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And so that was a pretty big chunk. And then some work orders, so that's why that, I did go ahead and, give him $200 because basically he really hasn't spent hardly anything on his own office supplies because it went to work orders and bills. And then the G-Works and VersaPro maintenance there in software expense, just over expended because the G-Works went up, the software expense went up more than we had anticipated, so that 850 is just to,
Did we buy the new probes this year?
It's $2 close this year, that's not,
yeah,
malfunctions and we can do that every year.
yes,
And that doesn't happen
That's not.
all the time.
yeah. And then postage, we were 75% spent on that, so we made the best estimate there that we could, for that. The capital outlay vehicle, that is both of the trucks,
Yeah, we had to go.
a portion of both of the trucks. So I just notated over there, the items that came in revenue to help offset that.
Yeah, so that 12.2 is the insurance from the vehicle.
Yeah.
And then interest on the bonds and the agent's fees, there was just a little bit there, but we don't, that's paid for, so that was just a little bit there. So we are, that highlighted amount there is amount that we're over, but that is primarily because of the vehicles that we purchased. They're again offset by the revenue that's notated there. clear as mud.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
All right.
Super.
Again, same thing with sewer, I left salaries and everything alone, it's tracking pretty good at this point. Did have some savings again, in the insurance. Auto repair and maintenance, same deal that Nate was talking about, the jet truck, the back truck.
Because it's used for water.
So we split everything, yes. The trash expense, this is something that we're going to have to address. We only budgeted for $1,000. This is that, roll-off dumpster that we have down at the old maintenance yard that is, being used often, which is great, but it's also being abused, and so that'll be a later discussion that we'll talk about.
Over on 10th Street. We'll have them down.
It's on Elm, yeah, but that's,
We got scheduled for Friday.
Pick it up.
it's being used quite often, which is good, but it's, maybe not just city people and.
I'm sure it's not.
We may need to have a discussion about that.
Well, I'd say the post on Facebook hadn't helped that a lot.
So, I tried to adjust that as best I could, but that's definitely overspent. They're having to dump that roll off fairly often. Yeah.
I mean, it's only open Monday through Friday, right?
Working days, yeah.
So maybe we need some cameras or something down there?
So that was my, either a sign that says
City owns.
city.
I know I've put stuff in it and like people have put their garbage, like what you put in a blue trash can in there. I don't know if that's not.
Or camera, or by a point when our guys physically go down there and
Open it.
Go check out a key or something. I don't know what it has a violation.
Part of the problem too is people probably have items that they can't physically get into the dumpster.
And then leave them on
There's
their
a
whole
lot that they
side.
could physically get into the dumpster that they're just too lazy to throw
That's
in the
correct
dumpster.
So we just like pull it, dumpster, and then we'll put it down, like we have like city like roll-ups and so it's being used.
Yeah.
What's the idea on that? I mean, why not?
I-
I like the idea of appointment only, or
Yeah.
maybe
A couple days.
like or maybe the third week of the month or something like
That way you
that.
know what's being put in there.
We probably just need to have some sort of
There's
discussion
no
about
benefit
it.
for scrapping metal. That is a benefit.
Some people leave metal down there and you guys turn that in, so.
I know, I've used the heck out of that dumpster, and anybody that's working on their house
Yeah.
needs that dumpster. Because otherwise, we're putting it out in those little blue cans, and I could fill my blue can with the stuff I've sent to the dump, or taken to the dump,
Oh, yeah.
300 times a year. So it's important to have it, but it needs to be controlled somehow.
I mean, it used to be at the treatment plant. You had to get access to that. That's been a long
What's that?
time.
I got dumpster.
Yeah, it used to be down there. Where it was locked up and locked. I think,
Can we get one?
and for
free
one
dump?
time it was sitting outside the fence.
Don't we get one free dump a year? From Wiles, I mean, for it?
I don't know.
I'd have to read the contract
I
again.
thought there was a,
I thought they left the dumpster there all year, but we still had to pay to empty it. If they waited, and then we paid to wait. So, we'll look at it and see. Yeah.
People that throw trash.
Yeah.
yeah, it's a mess down there.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Are
And
they
it's just making
charging?
your yard a mess.
Are they charging for the dumping here? I mean, the,
You know?
Yes.
no, I'm sure they charge.
GFL charges us when
We
they
don't
don't
get charged for the dumpster
That's what I was
itself, but when
wondering.
they come and get it, yeah.
for what the contents.
Yeah. By weight.
So is it a scheduled pickup or we call them? Or is that what we call them?
I tried talking about scheduled pickup and they said they would. I just promised you, that's what they told me.
Oh, you had to call them to come get
I
it?
had to call them every time. And it was.
Yeah, I don't know that I like them just going and dumping it.
And the main guy retired, so Max,
Yeah.
he was always diligent and got something right away, but the inspector takes forever.
Because it's making a mess down there in the yard. I think it used to sit outside the fence at the treatment plant. Right outside your fence.
Yeah.
That's where it used to be.
Yeah, there used to be one. We got it out of there. They wanted to use it for the sludge bags.
We have a different plan for that,
Right.
so. Okay, well, it's something we'll have to talk about.
Insurance, we were over a little bit, that's like, work comp insurance that we paid.
Okay,
So I did the best I could to estimate what we would need for the rest of the year.
that's all you need for that one.
I wasn't sure about,
We go back to pay that.
just the next page. It's still sewer.
310?
Yeah, right there. The next item with the question marks, I don't really know, and I looked at the budget when we set it to know why we earmarked that. Whether we need that 10,000 setback still, or we finalize that, so I don't know if we need that.
We've gotten the final bill from North Ellen. You need to check on that.
Okay. That's what I assumed.
Add that to your list. I was thinking about that last night too.
Okay. I assume that's what that was for.
So we'll check on that.
Then is there one calls the dig right, that the same, it gets split. Same with the office supplies, it was the bills and the work orders, I did the same thing there. Postage, same thing. Repairs and maintenance, that red deficit that's in the hole, that is because of, I went ahead and put that notes and justification, so it didn't look like Nathan's overspent that on purpose. That is the nursing home lift station, the bus barn, the Teresa lift station, so that's a lot of money,
Yeah.
getting spent on those things.
5 lift stations, each of them have 2 pumps in each lift station. The pump itself, one pump is $6,700.
6360.
So, we had 2 pumps that were grounded in 2 different lift stations, that we needed to get up to compliance. So, that's that much stuff.
And then your bus barn sewer deal.
Yeah, we had
is
to
part of
start
that
that.
also. So, some of that then comes in through revenue also, but like the Teresa lift station is ours, so we don't see that revenue coming back. But some of those things we do, charge back out, so.
Well, on that, the bus barn has a lift station, but that's no longer, that's not.
That's not our responsibility.
It's really cool.
So basically, the amount that I put as the difference will offset to give them 7,000 for the next 4.5 months here.
In case you have another.
We don't ever know what that looks like. And in the big picture, that's not a lot of money really for what he was doing. The testing fees, we talked through. So Nathan, you want to tell them?
So there was we had sludge testing that we do. We got the new spectrometer down at the treatment plant. So we shouldn't have that big a cost anymore, but we got a late bill, significantly late.
It was from last year.
Last year.
Did they just never build us, or did we slip through the cracks?
I mean, they know the city close to you.
So, we don't,
They never sent it.
but they're dinging us because it's late.
Well, we have to pay it.
Yeah.
So,
shouldn't have any.
So next year, remember that when we do your next year budget, right?
Put 1,500 in there.
Like you're adding 15, are you? Or are you adding?
168.
You're adding-
168, which is fine because we have 2 more quarters.
You thought $75 a piece, so the 1,500 would offset the 1332, so you'll have $168 in there.
That'd be fine.
Yeah. For travel expense, he thought he could do with 300, is that right?
Correct.
Yeah, so
So that would be
For the
for conferences, classes, things like that.
in case,
We really try to hit 2 conferences a year.
Yes, so for your training.
So that should cover it.
utilities expense, we're gonna have quite enough there. And that capital outlay building was not budgeted, so,
We bought that property.
there wasn't a line item here, but we spent it, so that's why this is in the red right here. And this is justification.
Yeah, usually when you see like this and she's added, we have voted on it to do it, and then now we catch up and we put it in the budget.
That's why we're amending it now to make it.
So we catch
don't-
all those things that we,
all these things that are in the red here need to be in the black. So we're amending to put money in here to make it be in the black. And then, that capital outlay vehicle, once again, we split things, water, sewer. So that would be the stuff in the back truck for the 2 trucks. With that revenue that's in there. And stuff, the yellow is what we were over in sewer, mainly that large figure, few up above that. So they did. That's what we were over in sewer. Any questions on sewer?
okay. Street.
Group insurance, again, there's some savings there in red. Auto repair and maintenance, is over just a little bit. So we adjusted $200 just to make sure there was a little bit in there to get through the year. Insurance, again, that's workers' comp insurance, so we set the budget and then insurance, we don't know what that's going to be until after we set the budget, and so that happens. Utility rates went up, our gas usage bill went up significantly, so utilities expense down below. We had to adjust that a little bit.
Keep the lights on.
And then the capital outlay vehicle, same thing on that one. It's split. So street is over the amount in yellow. Any questions on street?
I don't have any.
And if no one has questions, if you'll flip back to page 2, Nathan's last one is parks. Parks is part of the general fund, it's 0140. Above that also is sanitation. Sanitation transportation is trash expense, and that one is just, the residential trash service with GFL, so it's just the cans of just in and out, in and out. So parks, I didn't do anything with salaries with the exception of our loggers, which is our retirement. We currently do not have anyone being paid out of parks that's going to be getting any thing from retirement out of parks in the next 6 months, so I went ahead and took that amount, the $278.42 that was budgeted there. The group insurance, there's some savings there. Insurance, that adjustment again is the workman's comp insurance, that's a little bit more. That mowing reimbursement, I believe, must have been an error because the net budget, you'll see clear to the left is in red. That's all I can figure is that it maybe was input incorrectly.
Oh, we're wrong.
It's in the
Account
code,
code, yeah.
something happened, I don't know. And then Nathan would like to move the lights in the park, that 600, into his repairs and maintenance.
So do the Lions Club them pay for it?
No. They pay to add the bulbs and repair them, but the light bill,
Oh, the electric.
is this lights that we have
Lights
fixed?
in the park was on the basketball
It's a
court,
basketball.
is what it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they didn't do that part.
Okay.
They said, I don't know, they made a deal that we would put lights or something like that.
I was wondering, I'm like, so I'm pretty sure we bought lights for the parks, I'm like,
If it's in the post and so on.
They do, yeah, and if they don't have any money and they can't do it, then we could, but
I
it's,
know last time I put up lights.
it's something they do as an organization, yeah.
So that $600 was maybe to get railroad ties to redo the boards of the equipment.
Oh, okay.
A lot of them were up and down, maybe with the cracks, so that's what that's
Okay.
I'm writing a grant through right now for tables made out of scrap tire. They're really nice, and I'm hoping to get it. If they do, they'll be a whole lot less maintenance on tables.
Yeah, I'd like to, we've talked about, I think you're looking for something to track too,
Yeah.
possibly. And maybe like have
the
something to
match.
track.
This is just a straight up funding for it.
They take the scrap
It's
tires.
the scrap tire they make material, it's like a marketplace, yeah. So I'm hoping that that comes through, and if that happens, they make the tables against the time that we install and everything.
Can't set them on fire.
Don't tempt them, don't, they will find a way. But
I remember Reagan
so
was-
hopefully that'll take down some costs for us.
Okay, so parks were actually, the 204.35 in red, that's actually a savings for parks, so. And that is all public works.
All for me. Keep it down here.
Any questions, concerns?
Any questions about the budget process or anything? That's kind of how we do it. We just kind of run through it. We let them decide how much money they want. We kind of tell them, here's your limit. What do you want to spend it on?
So the only thing I have is when you go and make, hires, how do you decide that?
So mainly it's based off experience, obviously. Like a summer hire would be the advantage. And it's based off experience. Usually we try to start on 15. Really low level stuff.
We have a base pay rate that we
Yeah.
adopted last year or 2 years ago, that's, each each level has a starting rate, and then we work with the mayor to determine based on skill and experience and stuff, if this person falls into that category or whatever the supervisor brings to them, if they would be able to have anything more than that based on licensure or experience or anything like that.
And we try to keep them within their budget, and Nate, of course, has a little bit more money to
So
pass with, so.
we have a chart for experience, is what I'm saying. So someone comes in and says, I have 7 years of experience in wastewater. You can look at that, go to the chart, go down, not whether or not 7 for different people.
Yeah.
Like if 3 people came in, all with 7 years of experience, they're all gonna get the same.
Looks
tag
like
on
the same
scale.
thing.
Okay. That's all.
And then, of course, as they go, you know, like, a lot of people don't come in with a water sewer certification. So when they start, they get their licenses, we give them a raise, and after 90 days, we usually give a raise. We like to every year, try to give a raise to cost of living, please. Yeah, basically, we do evaluations, and then based on what we can afford, pretty much.
Sounds good?
You wanna let Lacey go?
Said it was like 10 to 15 hours, just a couple minutes ago.
Okay.
So
Well,
the
surely we
very-
could get Lacey
The
in.
very last page is,
If you want to, we're trying to go through this as fast as we can, because I know you might have input on that, right? Okay, yes.
library is the 05,
0510.
0510. For salaries, that's a little bit confusing, but when we had the ARPA money, Lacey asked for $3,500 of her assistant to be funded by the ARPA money. So, I have yet to figure out in our system how to move money from a non-salary line item to a salary line item to offset that. So that difference there, it needs to come out of that ARPA line item that's down below. So I just notated that. I've got to get with G-Works and figure out how to do that.
Okay.
With that goes some of those other, you know, Medicare, FICA, things like that. So, I don't think we'll have to have any additional money there, which was Lacey's intent to get through the year. Lacey's salary herself is paid through the general fund.
On the admin. That's why she does other duties at the time.
Yes. I don't know why I said that.
Loggers, there was savings there because once again, her loggers is paid out of admin. So, she was wanting to move some of that money down to IT services, 800 of that. She's gonna need some computer work done on her desktops that are there, the public computers, and then once she gets her desk done, maybe getting an additional monitor and things. So we just kind of guesstimated how much that would cost to do that. So that's what that is. The group insurance needed a little bit more there. She got over. Dues and subscriptions, we were about $80 short. Insurance, we got about $72 saved there. Her grant expense, I went ahead and put in there, because it wasn't budgeted. She did get that $10,000 grant. However, that is a deposit in the revenue, so that's just,
It'll kind of be a wash.
it's a wash.
But we have to account for it.
Right. And then there's $1,000 saved there in the utilities, so even though it says she's over in that amount in the yellow, that 10,000 is actually revenue that's offsetting
So
that,
it's
so.
like 2.
She's really looking, actually, pretty good right there for the library.
Good.
Any questions on the library?
No? No questions? Okay. All right. Good job, Lisa. That's it. That's quick.
I'm gonna start at the top of general and then hopefully Cotton will get.
Yeah. Back to page 1.
All right, page 1. I put just a little bit of cushion in here, with not knowing if we had any overtime needed or anything heading into 2 of us being here, with everything.
What's happened?
It's happened yesterday, Abriana's out, so,
Did everyone know that?
Yep.
Okay. Everyone. She posted it on social media, so
Yes.
I'm assuming
Yes.
she's good with everybody knowing.
Yes. So we put just a little in there. I don't know if we'll need it, but, certainly. So that just kind of carries down into
The rest of it.
everything just kind of follows. Although we do have a little savings there in the group insurance. Advertising, I felt like we needed a little bit more in there. We were gonna be bidding a
Yeah,
few
we're gonna put
things, and
bids out for
so,
the block grant, and then, I was thinking there was something else.
well, we
too.
just did the water damage, and
Yeah.
there's just some things coming through that I thought
We'll need in the
we
paper.
probably needed to have a little bit more there.
With the advertising, with the town hall,
Yeah.
like, there's all kinds of stuff.
So that's good. The professional services, I am not exactly sure that's where we pay for our, audit. I don't know if it'll quite cost that much. Potentially, so I guesstimated what that would cost, because we paid for 2 audits
The last time.
last year.
And this will just be 1 year.
Right, so I don't know what she'll charge us for 1 versus 2, but I just tried to estimate what that might be.
Okay.
IT, I tried to guesstimate the best that I could. We're supposed to be getting a G-Works system upgrade in a couple weeks here, so I don't know what that's going to look like, so I tried to do the best I could.
Now, has
So you're excited?
Shannon got most of your issues resolved, or,
Yes.
okay,
I mean, as far as I know,
as far as you
I'm
know
not
so
an IT
far?
person at all whatsoever.
Okay.
She comes in and speaks another language. I usually don't know what she's saying.
I would
So-
say,
That's gonna be, when Connor gets here, he's gonna be able to answer that, because he understands.
He understands what she's speaking?
I have
Okay.
no idea what she says, I just let her know it.
I would say, based on what I've heard from her, that you're doing well, but there's a
Few more things she wants
Yeah,
to
I
do.
know that
Okay.
still a.
my
I'm just
computer in my
trying to think
office
about-
needs flux capacitor changed or something like that. Yeah, because we were gonna change the whole tower. We were gonna change the whole tower out, but
Listen, she like takes them all, she has parts and.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It looks
she
like
told
my
me.
garage.
Yeah, and then
everything
she starts
does,
speaking
so.
to me, and I'm like, just do what you need to do, because I literally have no idea.
Okay.
So the other thing is when we get the generators installed, once we get our 3rd bid for that, they've told us that they have to shut our buildings down completely for 2 hours each. So we would like her to be on site when.
When
we
that
come back
happens,
up.
yes.
So we
I
have to
agree.
account for that also.
Because I don't want both at the same time.
Correct.
So
So
we're on the
And
same
we
page
should,
then.
it shouldn't be that big of an issue with us because our power goes out all the time. Like it just periodically.
But just in case,
Right.
we know it's gonna happen, so let's see if
Right,
we can have
yeah.
her
Fry
here.
the motherboard or something.
Looks like some capacitor.
I have no idea what this is.
The cleaning was actually a bill that was from September of '24, so we didn't have that budgeted.
Okay,
So we had to fix that.
okay.
The drug and alcohol screening, we're 98% used on that, so, some of that testing, it went up, so, and each employee that we bring in, we're having go down to Rolla and do a saliva test, and that's a little higher versus urine test,
Okay.
so.
But it's more,
It's more accurate and efficient, and, so we're doing that for pre-employment.
okay.
Let's see. The election costs more than we anticipated, so that's just to zero out that account.
But I will say it's still cheaper than some.
Yeah. Our legal fees, that's just to get through the year with, our new attorney.
Okay,
Just the difference in what our new attorney charges.
okay.
Software expense, that's a savings there, the 338. This repairs and maintenance is the big one that's getting us, I guess I cut my stuff off there.
Siren and
So this is the weather siren, and then the water damage repair. So we gotta check for part of that, but then, the activation of the weather siren repair, and it's a whole thing. 400s for something too, it all cut off.
oh, that's
That's why all that stuff is in there. That's why that number's so big. And then the telephone expense was up $90, so we weren't tracking too bad except for that repairs and expense, and a lot of that stuff that we just voted on not too long ago, those ordinances.
yeah, to add that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Court. That's something.
That's all just savings. I did leave some legal fees in there in case she does any
Some
prosecution or
prosecution.
anything like that.
You think she'll have any prosecution this year? Maybe?
So, municipal stuff. You
Okay.
talking about the attorney?
Yeah, because we
Yeah.
have line, what'd you go to there, $1,000 for
Yeah, I
court?
don't know.
You think
Yeah,
that'd be
I
all
mean-
right, leave that there?
I would imagine, because the only thing we're writing municipal is city code. If we can write it state, we're writing it state.
Okay,
It's more beneficial for everybody
yeah,
if
gotcha.
we do that, so.
Just in case something comes up and,
Yeah, speeding tickets, anything we can write state is getting written state, but anything that we can't, like dogs or, whatever, we have to write a ticket for municipal code wise,
somebody
then,
decides they have to go to court.
right.
Okay. All right. So what do you think?
And I don't know what municipal court costs. I don't know
I don't know either, I don't know if she's had,
But apples to oranges, we're writing a whole lot more state.
because there
than
was
we are
some
city.
stuff left from Jeff, but I think she got that resolved, and we haven't gotten a bill from county for court, have we? I guess we won't, we'll worry about it when we get the bill.
Okay, so police, 120. I didn't do anything with the salary stuff. We do have the grant officer here. And that grant covers 75% of $16. So like $10,330 of the remaining year will be covered by the grant. So I feel like the amount that we have there is gonna get us through the rest of the year, based on
What they
my
need.
guesstimations. The group insurance, we have a considerable savings there. Dependent insurance, the PD, we do have some folks there signing up for that, so that's good. That's the 6,000 that you'll see there, which they're kind of saving in the group insurance, so. Advertising, we just had to, I don't have that, that shouldn't be there. $245.
We have 300. I think we put that in there in case you like to advertise in the paper or somewhere, if you need to pay for like
It was
officers.
probably for when you were doing the PDD in the paper, is my guess.
Well, I think I just pulled that formula down,
Hey, we
and
didn't
it
pay for
shouldn't be
that?
there.
Yeah, you have to pay for everything, just in the paper.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, totally.
I just don't think it should be pulled down there. I don't think that 245, we're not gonna,
We're not gonna do that.
well, we didn't talk about
Maybe
you not needing that, did we, or did we?
Not getting what?
Did we talk about you not needing the advertising money or not?
We haven't talked about it, but
Yeah,
I don't
I think I
see
pulled
why
that
we
from-
would need to advertise.
And you've got some in the admin, so.
But we could take that and put it towards the rolling radar.
I don't,
That's an
I don't
advertisement.
see that he needs to do anything other than that annual thing you have to do now.
I think I pulled that formula down and it just went, but I'll have to check this.
Okay.
I'll have to check on it.
This seems like a good price.
That's fine. When we get it finalized and what we figure out, we'll email this out to everybody just to make sure, and then it'll be with the ordinance that Carrie does.
Yeah, I'll have to look at it. Okay, IT services, so it was in the red already, so then we were adjusting it, giving them an additional amount, so the 4,000 is what we are doing to offset it, if that makes
And are we
sense.
squared away with Shannon, that you know of?
As far as I know.
Okay.
She will be coming in tomorrow. Jenny's monitors went down.
Which she went in and did some rewiring. I'm the worst person to talk about the IT stuff, but she did some kind of rewiring in the back or something and tried it, and I don't know if it's working.
New cables, just buy new cables.
Something, she did something to the back of it with some wires. That's what cables is probably,
Cables, just put some new cables on.
Didn't have enough plutonium for it.
that's what it was. 7.8 gigawatts.
Auto repair and maintenance, that was significantly over because of the light bar package, what do you call
Console.
it? The light console.
It was the truck console
Yeah.
and getting it equipped with the cage and all the stuff.
Right, so
For
that,
the truck.
So
That was
we-
unexpected.
we did, give him back like 1,200 because you have tires, you just
Yeah.
got tires and.
We had to get tires for the one, for the black vehicle, and the brown vehicle has a mechanical situation where the gas fumes aren't releasing. Like, yeah, it's like
It's an
the,
emissions problem.
well, it's, what,
Not bad.
the Crown Vics were really bad about it, it's the Ford
It's a
thing.
Ford thing.
And if the brown car gets an impact, it'll explode.
Yeah,
So-
we talked about that.
And so I got the part and everything, and I think tomorrow we're supposed to take to Jones to have it put on, but it's like a minimal repair, it's not, or the way they explained to me at the parts store, it's a minimal repair.
Okay.
Like you really don't need tools, maybe a screwdriver type deal, so, but I don't know where it
So
goes.
let's have a mechanic put that on.
Right, yeah, I'm not.
Good idea.
Did it have new wires?
Good idea. We don't want the parts of the password.
Yeah, go ahead and have a mechanic do that.
And then we also accounted for like servicing each of them.
Yeah, oh yeah, oil change, another
So-
oil change by the end of the year.
So that's why we estimated to give him like 1,200 at the end of the year.
Okay.
Dues and subscriptions, that red number is a savings, so we're saving over $12,000 right there. That is not paying the NIG membership.
So I did have an offer, they called me, and I don't know how to take this yet. I I gotta call Stacy and talk to him about it. But they called and I'm like, look, it doesn't make sense. Like county's paying for this or whatever. And they offered us a associate membership, which allows us to go to the meetings or whatever, and basically makes us a little more priority, is the way I understand it, without them saying it. And it's $2,500 a year rather than $12,000 a year. So that might be something we look at later on, but for now, I mean,
Maybe next year.
I told them that I'd talk to you guys about it, and we would go over it with the council and see what they thought about it and everything, but, yeah, it just didn't make sense, you know, so we're out of that.
Sounds good. Yeah, if it's something that you want to pick up maybe for your, what is next year, FY '25 budget, and that what it's backwards from what I'm used to. Yeah.
Gasoline expense, that number's a savings, $5,000 we're saving. Software expense, again, that's a savings. The Axon body cameras that we just had the ordinance for, we are gonna take the software portion out of the software expense, and then the small tools and equipment where the actual cameras are gonna come out of. The Crime Star software does still need to come out, so that's a 700. And then under small tools and equipment, they're looking at a radar gun potentially that they would like to, so they're moving some money around there is what's happening. So the 5,000 out of software, maybe to put it down into small tools and equipment to better utilize those funds there.
You can test that radar gun on Ellen if you
It's,
like.
well, that's the whole idea, but it's the little spots to where,
They just want to just scream down through there.
and once you get set up, once you get set up, I mean, you either have to be facing forward or backwards. So once they see you, then we can't really utilize, where if we have the little gun, then we can set up and it's portable. The one we're looking at, the one I sent Kelly, I found, is right around 25, and it logs all the data, it goes to your phone, like it does all this technology stuff, right? And it's a laser rather than a radar, so you actually gotta
Like a
hit it.
smart laser.
Exactly. So it's a lot nicer system for $500 more than the one I found initially for 2,000. So, but either way, I mean, there's gonna be some wiggle room there.
7730 Chestnut Street. Get everybody going to work in court. Get them all.
Repairs and maintenance, that reminds me of what I was missing out of,
Or the generator.
the generator and the concrete pad. That was the 400 that I was seeing on our general earlier, because they'll install a generator for the City Hall and the concrete pad and the wire. So those are those numbers that was in general earlier that I cut off.
Okay.
That's just an estimation. I don't know. We're still waiting on one bid for that, but asking for a little bit more on there in the repairs and maintenance because of the generator that we have to get. Telephone expense, we'll have to have a little bit more to get through the year there. And so police overall, we're looking at a savings of almost 12,000.
What? Look
So-
at you.
There is some things, like we talked about, our ARs are from Vietnam, literally from Vietnam. And so we've been shopping ARs, and we found, we're thinking 4 that puts 1 in each vehicle and 1 backup if it really hits the fan. But they're gonna be around $1,000 a piece.
Okay.
And that's a quick. So I think that's ready to go, and that's police pricing. We talked to county, they've already got a deal working with the company, so that's why we're getting everything so cheap, but that's with suppressors and the whole bit, because, and we have a deputy that's willing to come up and talk to city council when it comes time for vote or whatever, but, there was a shooting incident in a school where the officers took the assailant out, and save the kids and everything, but there was like a dozen kids that sued the police department, their parents for hearing damage. Yeah, that's what I said. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life, but that is a real thing. That is a problem now. So if something was to happen in a school, and we had to go in and open fire, then we're saving. So that would be, I mean, I know it doesn't sound like a great selling point, but that's real reality of it. Like they really did lose.
Well, I mean,
It's
not
hard to
just
say
the
how much.
school, if you have a crowd of people and you could have
Right.
4 people get traumatized by it, they could sue too.
Exactly.
Just
So,
adults.
right. So, yeah, that's,
I got it.
that's what that, so, but yeah, that's our budget.
Okay.
And we did find a radar trailer, by the way. Really cheap. Trailer
Oh.
that you pull out, and has a little slow down, and it has
Yeah,
the
with the
speed
flashing
limit sign.
thing.
Yeah.
45.
Like for $250 is where it's at right now, and it's got 2 days left on the bid, so that'd be really handy. to-
You know,
like right
we
here on the
own
street.
401 North Allen.
We're gonna talk about the house in Japan.
Listen, it's insane. I watched 4 of them yesterday just bounce off the asphalt onto the gravel.
Yeah.
Why?
The council on our road, really, it's just nature.
I about had a head-on collision on your road today. I was going up there for a call, and somebody tried to dodge potholes, and literally about ran into me head-on. In my.
I have to dodge potholes there at the intersection of my road and her road. And, I mean, you have to be careful, make sure it's heavy, obviously. But that, those potholes right there at the intersection.
Like,
Yeah, I've been at that intersection and I see them come down. They
Yeah.
just zigzag the road. Oh my goodness.
All right.
Yeah,
We'll look at
it's part of it.
that street department, those guys do anything.
that. Come on, Nate.
Listen, he's got a whole list of stuff.
You jotting this down? Open session. Open session.
Okay, now, anything else about the budget? We're all good with everything? You're gonna check on the one thing, right? Okay. So this is, the next thing we want to talk about is this purchasing policy. And I think Kelly, you have worked on this for quite a while. So I'm gonna let you do your spiel. But one of the reasons we need this is part of the grant stuff, the block grant requires us to have one. I don't know if it requires us, but it looks good if we know
No,
we want one.
it requires it.
So, and then it's something that our new attorney has suggested that we do also, so we're gonna do it. So you guys have all looked at it, right? Anybody that buys anything for the city? Okay.
So this is just, a policy. I checked with Stuart Haynes at NML and got some other fourth-class city purchasing policies and procurement policies and just put this together. I ran it by our attorney and she looked over it and gave me some suggestions. And so, this is just gonna give us some guidelines to go by to, set limits on at what point do we have to do, bids and, processes. And so this is something that we really, really need to do. I've been working on this for over a year, trying to get this as a policy and by ordinance. So, if we can get this in place, then we can do things better and more formally. So,
Maybe I don't have to read 9 ordinances in a meeting.
yes.
That's my goal.
So, the actual policy, you can read through that, but then the procurement policy actually has it kind of broken down as far as the amounts and then is it within the budget, yes or no? And then who the purchaser is, are bids required, purchasing contract, the signatures and the notes. So it's kind of a quick guide on what to do. So If anybody has any input,
It's a sole availability, like if you can only get from one place.
sole source.
Sole source.
Yeah. So exempt purchases would be at the bottom. So fuel purchases, cooperative, yeah, anything down below there. And I think everyone's aware too, but we do have contracts through like Sourcewell. I know Nathan's aware, I don't know if you're aware of that, Leslie or Lacey, but Sourcewell, so there are certain businesses that have contracts that if we go through them, we get things cheaper. So significantly cheaper. So if you check and see if they're,
Does it apply to you all?
it could.
There's a website.
There's a website that you can go to and, there's a lot of businesses. It's Sourcewell,
Like S-O-R-C-E,
S-O-U-R-C, well,
W-E-L.
That's something I'm talking through my nose.
No, just making sure.
By the way, this makes total sense to me. Like, makes total sense.
This will be what?
Well,
Yeah, and helps speed things along also,
yeah,
so there's no bumps.
right. 'Cause the other way is making me lose my mind.
Me too. So I think this is.
And the city attorney looked over this and she's good with this.
I don't think she has yet. I wanted you guys to, she
She
did.
looked over this.
So she's okay with it?
She
Okay.
did.
I mean, she didn't have any recommendations for any changes or anything.
The changes she had were in the
You've already done them?
They were just-
And then they've all looked at it?
with word stuff. She didn't, well, just like, I know, little things, but, she didn't, get back with me on this one, but she called me yesterday and I was with chief and assistant chiefs. We were talking about budgets and I didn't get her called back in time, so she had something to talk to me about, but I'm not sure exactly what that was, so.
Regarding this?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm not sure exactly what that was, but,
So I'd like to get it, ordinance, get it on the agenda and do it for June.
okay.
So we'll get it done. So if she has any like major changes, get with Wesley and Nate and Lacey, the ones that do the majority of the purchasing and me. Just to see, but if it's not anything huge, we'll go ahead and have her do the ordinance for it. Get that going. I just wanted to do this here at the workshop so we could, if we needed changes or had any discussion about it, we can do it now. And then we're gonna send it, since Trevor and Anthony aren't here, we'll go ahead and send it out to them. So they can take a look at it. I don't foresee them having changes, but I don't have questions. I think that's it. We'll do it at the workshop.
Once it makes sense.
Good.
If you guys think of things later about this policy, just let me know, or as always, my door's open, so come in or